Hello, lovely people. Always have your ingredients ready before cooking or baking. It will make your life a lot easier. The flour needs to be combined with the cinnamon, the baking soda, and the salt and sifted before you start mixing the ingredients together. And the eggs have to be at room temperature. You will get much better results with your cakes if the eggs are at room temperature instead of being cold. And if you like my video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Core your apple and peel it. See how I'm holding the apple is a lot easier to do that way. What I did is I cut at the ends of the I cut the ends. See? I cut the ends of the apple, and that makes it easier to peel and easier to chop. And you should have uh, 3 cups of apples. Then grab your pan and grease it and add some flour to it. And make sure that it's well floured. And one tip here, when you're for later on when you're gonna add the batter into the cake, make sure that if any batter falls on the edges of the baking pan or on top right there, make sure that you remove it, because if not, that those little bits of batter, they're going to burn, and you are going to think that the cake is burnt or that it's ready, and it's not. So make sure that the pan is clean before you put it in the oven. So now you add the oil and the sugar. The moist ingredients go first. I use no, what did I use? I used grape seed oil. I didn't have sunflower oil. That's the other oil that I use for this, because it doesn't have any flavor, and you want to accent the flavors of the cake, not the flavor of the oil. You can add the eggs and mix them. We're still doing all the moist ingredients first. Again, if you like my video, please subscribe and like. So you should be getting that consistency, a very creamy consistency. Add the flour. I add the flour in 3 batches because this is a very dense dough. So I like to help the mixer with that and make sure that it gets enough air, if you will. And every time that I add the flour, I usually mix it for about a minute or two. You will see the consistency. Then you have to be ready, because I'm changing the attachment from the paddle attachment to the hook attachment to move, if you will, the the batter a little bit better to make it easier. You can do it by hand with a wooden spoon. You can, if you can, if you don't have a mixer, you can do it that way. But this is a lot easier, and it just takes about a minute or two to do that. Then add your walnuts and do the same for about the same amount of time. And always have the wooden spoon or the spatula handy if you want to, once between adding ingredients, just to mix a little bit that way and help the mixer. Now it's time for the raisins, and you just do the same. That's the finished batter. That's the way it's supposed to look. It looks like it has a lot of stuff, and it does, and that's gonna make it smell really, really good and taste even better. I use a wooden spoon to put the batter from the mixer the from the mixer to the baking dish, the baking pan. Now it's ready. Now you want to put that cake or that batter in the oven, preheated oven, by the way, at 350 degrees for 1 hour and 15 minutes. Do not open the oven. It will be absolutely perfect once you take it out. And there it is. 1 hour and 15 minutes later, you do the testing with the toothpick, and it came out clean. And you can see by looking at the top of the cake, you can see that it's done. But it's always good to check. Wait about 10 minutes. Put it on the cooling rack and wait about 10 minutes before you take it out of the pan. And this job is easier done with two hands, but I'm holding the camera with one. And see how easy the pan is coming out. Now let it sit there for about an hour before you add anything to it. What I did is I grabbed some confectioner's sugar and I just sprinkle a little bit on top of it. You can add as little or as much as you want. Remember, it already has sugar. You're indulging yourself, so I don't think that you need to add too much. But it's up to you. It's your cake. Now it's time to serve, and it turned out really, really good. If you could smell how great it is, all the cinnamon, the walnuts, the apples, all those scents invade your house. It makes it makes the house smells really, really good. And since I work really hard, then I had to have a café con leche or café latte and a little bit of the cake because I have to taste and I have to do quality control.